Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here this afternoon. I am John Roth, the Acting Secretary of the Air Force. So as we speak, the administration is announcing the fiscal year 22 budget. And in line with the Secretary of Defense's vision, one of the main takeaways from the Department of the Air Force portion of the budget is an emphasis on capability-based modernization. And as both the Secretary of Defense and the President have indicated, this also ultimately means a need to divest legacy platforms to free up the manpower and resources necessary to field more capable systems to address emerging threats. So as the Air Force looks to the future, we expect to be challenged all around the world by China and Russia. Those threats require new solutions, and Team Robins will play a vital role in how we achieve decision superiority on the battlefield. We have plans to bring new aircraft and new missions to Robins Air Force Base beginning next year. But in order to make way for these new missions, we need to begin retiring the so-called J-STARS aircraft fleet. The J-STARS is a B-707, a Boeing 707 19 era aircraft that is a command and control aircraft. The President's budget, which was just submitted today to Congress, requests the beginning of the retirement of the J-STARS aircraft, and begins with 4 E-8 J-STARS aircraft in FY22. Our intent is to capitalize on the existing expertise at Robins and repurpose approximately 2,000 active duty and Air National Guard airmen from the J-STARS aircraft program into 4 new cutting edge missions at Robins. The 4 missions are: there's an air control squadron, which is commonly known as the Kingpin. The Georgia Air National Guard will lead a unit whose day-to-day mission will provide command and control of aircraft in the Central Command Theater of Operations, that is the Middle East. Foundational for the entire Defense Department is something called Joint All-Domain Command and Control and Joint All-Domain Operations. The Air Force plans to transition existing manpower to a classified mission in support of future capabilities associated with the Joint All-Domain Command and Control and the Air Force's portion of that program, which is the Advanced Battle Management System. E-11 aircraft. The E-11 Battlefield Airborne Control Node, BACN by acronym, BACN, aircraft and a squadron of active duty personnel will enable communication support to the joint force on a modern battlefield. And the last mission is something we call the Spectrum Warfare Group. A group of squadrons comprised of active duty airmen will take advantage of the skills prominent in the local Macon, Atlanta area, namely software and hardware experts in the electromagnetic spectrum. The sum total of all that, these cutting edge missions and the Team Robins airmen that would execute them, are exactly what the Air Force needs to be ready for the threats we anticipate in the future. I look forward to working with the Georgia leaders to make way for the retirement of the E-8 J-STARS aircraft so that we can bring these new missions online as soon as possible. In closing, outpacing threats in tomorrow's complex global security landscape requires innovative thinking and modern investments. Our fiscal year 22 budget request lays out a plan to modernize our air and space forces capabilities and includes the professionals at Robins Air Force Base. So I will now turn over to Representative Scott, and we'll be here to answer any questions you have at the end.
Well, thank you, Mr. Secretary. And one of the questions people may have is why are we developing the new systems? And the bottom line is the threats that are coming from China and Russia, the new systems, they're smaller, they're faster, and they're more powerful. And that means that we have to pick them up earlier. from the time they're launched so that we can take them out before they hit the United States. The ABMS system, which is a system of systems, is what it's going to take to defend the United States from the new weapon systems that are being developed. We in Georgia are fortunate. We've got a long history of working together. Congressman Bishop and our previous senators, Isaacson, Perdue, and Loeffler, have worked closely together with that, just as we will work closely with our new senators, Senator Warnock and Senator Ossoff, to make sure that Georgia's Robins Air Force Base and our other military installations are taken care of. And so, Secretary, I again appreciate your support of Robins Air Force Base and the men and women there, and look forward to working with our two senators to complete these missions.
Thank you so much, Congressman. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for joining us. Senator Warnock, it's a pleasure to see you. I think this event is a testament to the bipartisan commitment to U.S. national security and the bipartisan commitment to military installations in the state of Georgia. And these upgrades to the capabilities at Robins Air Force Base will ensure that this base is strong for decades to come. These are cutting edge capabilities. And Mr. Secretary, it's been a pleasure working with you to ensure that they come to Georgia, because we know that many bases across the country would be competing for these capabilities. We're glad that they're coming to Georgia because Robins Air Force Base is truly the pride of Middle Georgia. It's an honor to serve in the Senate, the men and women who work every single day at Robins Air Force Base to keep us safe. Robins Air Force Base is critical to our national security, and these outstanding cutting edge new missions that the Secretary has laid out again will ensure that Robins remains central to meeting new national security challenges in an evolving operational environment for decades to come. I want to commend you again, Mr. Secretary, for your engagement, for your collaboration with the congressional delegation to upgrade the capabilities at Robins and bring these new missions to the base. We are all so glad that the Air Force remains fully committed to Middle Georgia and to Robins Air Force Base. This innovation, these upgrades of capabilities, these new missions are exciting. And we thank you, Mr. Secretary, for all that you're doing.
Thank you so very much. As many of us began to make our way to the beach and to cookouts this weekend, I just want to pause and remember why we're able to do that. And we are grateful for those who paid the ultimate sacrifice as we go into the Memorial Day weekend. We're grateful for them and for their families who remember them along with a grateful nation this weekend. It reminds us of how much is at stake and what's at stake in these conversations. And so in that regard, I'm grateful to Secretary Roth for joining us today. Grateful to my colleague, Senator Ossoff, and Congressman Scott, and those who serve. I remember speaking to you, Secretary Roth, in April about the importance of the J-STAR mission and Robins Air Force Base to the Warner Robins community and the Georgia Air National Guard and the great state of Georgia. We appreciate your recognition as demonstrated here today of the critical role Robins Air Force Base has long played in supporting missions around the globe critical to our national security. I also welcome and I hear today your commitment to the future of Robins Air Force Base. I would like to thank the men and the women at Robins Air Force Base, the military personnel and civilians, active duty and Georgia Air National Guard, who have diligently and without fail supported the J-STAR mission for the last 2 decades. I would also like to thank the entire Warner Robins community, Houston County, Mayor Randy Toms, the 21st Century Robins Partnership, and so many others who have worked tirelessly to support the base, the community, and the J-STAR mission for so many years. Their efforts are what has positioned Robins now to assume any future Air Force mission seamlessly. Finally, I want to thank all of my predecessors, especially Senator Johnny Isaacson, the senior statesman among us, who worked to ensure Robins enjoys a very bright future. The planned assumption of the 4 modern and forward-looking missions laid out by Secretary Roth is a good first step to secure Robins' place in the future missions of the Air Force. I also welcome the Air Force's commitment to ensure that all current active duty and Air Guard personnel working on the JSTAR mission have a role in the upcoming missions. This is very important. I also want to welcome the Air Force's plan to begin to fulfill its 2018 commitment to Senator Isaacson, who was told Robins would be the home of the Advanced Battle Management System and associated sensor aircraft. I am glad that today the Air Force has announced its commitment to honor that promise. With respect to ABMS, I have no doubt that Robins will secure its place as the future center of excellence of this critical family of systems. My priority is the continued excellence, the growth of Robins and the Warner Robins community, a great legacy and history. We build on that as we move into the future. There's no community that loves the Air Force like Warner Robins. And so know that all of us here today are committed to working with the Air Force to bring this plan to fruition, to ensuring the continuity of an operational flying mission at the base, ensuring a complete role for both active and Guard personnel, and to making Robins the hub of the Air Force's future communication structure that will answer the call of today's threat environment. The JSTAR platform has served America's war fighters overseas for over 3 decades. We are grateful, and we are grateful especially for the men and the women at Robins who made it possible. And as this transition proceeds, we will continue to work to ensure that Robins, the active duty Air Force, and the Georgia Air Guard maintain their invaluable role in securing our nation's future. Again, happy Memorial Day weekend to everybody.